One of the least Chinese things about me is that I don't love pork. But when it's this crispy, I'll make an exception. Lunar New Year is right around the corner, so I'm showing you all the superstitious dishes that I grew up eating. Up next is Cantonese-style roast pork, which is supposed to represent strength and good fortune. Most families, including mine, usually just buy this at the restaurant, so I followed the Walks of Life recipe. All you have to do is make a simple dry rub and rub that all over the meat. Then flip it over and poke a bunch of holes in the skin so it'll roast evenly. Once you do that, it's really important to leave it in the fridge overnight so that it dries out, and then the day of, you'll just make a salt crust for the skin and bake it in your oven for an hour and a half. Once it's done cooking, you'll remove that salt crust and then move it under your broiler. In my case, my oven's configured a little weirdly, so I couldn't move the pork further away from the broiler, which ultimately meant that the skin got a little more bubbly than it should have. But after letting the meat sit for about 15 minutes and then cutting into it, I was so pleasantly surprised by how tender and juicy this meat was. And even though I'm not a pork person, there's something poetic about the fact that I ended up with someone from Iowa who's always more than happy to eat both of our shares at the dinner table.